Stop saying what you gon' do till you do what you said. When you opened that Bible, you knew what you read. You felt it deep in your soul. The promise did not expire. Be inspired.
I can see beyond the tears you cry and the pain you feel. I saw every hill you had to climb just to make it here. When you say you ain't afraid to die, is it faith or fear? Yo, what up, people? I'm your host, Jay Will, and I would like to welcome you to Inspire God's People, where we balance faith and business to guide you to your purpose. This is episode 230. Around the world, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, politics, and social media. Look, man, it's been a minute since I've had the opportunity to jump on a podcast. So first and foremost, you know what I'm saying? How you doing? How you feeling? Life is good my way. It's been a lot going on. It's been a busy year. We're in, almost at December, heading to the last month of the year. I'm not a New Year person as we get to that time of year, but I am kind of like, I like to refresh. So I really try to approach it like every day, new day, you know what I'm saying? Happy new day. But yeah, there is obviously something special about, kind of thinking about everything you've experienced, accomplished, learned in a particular year. And then thinking about how do I regroup, refresh, rethink, and continue to grow for the upcoming year. So I'm happy to be here right now. Look, I've been traveling a lot. That's the best I could say. I had a situation last month. I was traveling so much last month. I was in Arizona for about 3 or 4 days, went home for a day, and then went back to Arizona to the same area, like the event I was going to, 2 completely different events, 2 completely different organizations and purposes, and it was at the same resort. Now, I'm not going to complain because I was able to play golf in the mountains and, chill in Arizona. No, I'm not going to complain, but I've been busy. That's why I haven't been able to do a show. So I'm excited to kick it with y'all today. And what we going to do, a little bit of like, a lot happens. I can't talk about everything I missed. Are we excited that the election is over? I am. It's draining. But I've learned that I had to engage it to some degree this year, and I didn't even get to engage it the way I wanted to, really just simply because of the fact that, again, I'm busy, and these topics are swirling around so fast, and I like to try to, approach them a particular way, not just in a rushed way or whatever, so I couldn't do it. So anyway, I'm excited today to kind of, revisit some of the things that's happening in the world, some of the things I might have missed, but in particular, we're going to start off with Bitcoin. All right, so I don't know how many cryptocurrency investors we have out there, but to the people who rock with this podcast, if you've been listening, then you kind of know that, we rock with cryptocurrency on this show. I even have a episode called Cryptocurrency for Regular People, where I really dive into what actually crypto is and kind of a lot of the layers and how it works or whatever. This ain't that. That ain't what we're going to do today. Today is really just about the fact that Bitcoin is about to hit 100,000. I don't think it's hit it yet. Let me check real quick. Let's see where it's at right now. $98,053 is what I'm showing right now. So yeah, crypto, but it's close. It's been to 99.5. And for context, for anybody who doesn't follow the crypto market, I mean, you talking about it was 30,000 at the start of the year. 4 weeks ago, it was 67,000. And so now you see Bitcoin being the leading cryptocurrency, about to hit 100,000. It's higher than it's ever been in life, right? So just think about that. I got another episode that's called Why Cryptocurrency is Not a Scam. I think I did that last year or earlier this year. And this is what we were talking about. I've been begging people the last 4 years. I'm talking literally begging the people around me bro, listen to this information and education about crypto. Don't wait until it goes crazy and then people start, wanting to know what's going on. And of course, human psychology. I'm not here to judge nobody. I'm just here to engage now that it's about to hit 100,000 and it's a lot of energy and information and headlines behind it. And I think it's going to get crazier, people. Let's just say that. It's going to get crazier as it relates to Bitcoin. But I do want to just give you a little bit of background about Bitcoin because I've been getting questions and I know a lot of people are asking, should I buy now? Should I be invested in crypto? Hey, I ignored crypto. I heard about it. I overlooked it. And now all of a sudden, Bitcoin is $100,000. Somebody told me it was a scam. And now I'm seeing this, right? So that's human. It's human nature. You're reacting to that. Let me give you, at least from my perspective, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I can talk, people. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But I do want to give you just a little bit of my thoughts, a little bit of my opinion. Some guy that's chilling on the internet talking about faith in business. So first things first, I'm not going to say whether or not it's time to buy, but it is time to educate. Now, if I'm being real, like I said, the past 4 years, I've been really begging people to educate themselves so that they could be prepared for this moment. The moment that we're in right now, I would describe it to you as, think about you're on a roller coaster. On a roller coaster, there's a lot of ups and downs, but you already missed the big, like the first, that first hill on a roller coaster where you go up, like you already missed that, but it's more to come. But you just got to understand you're not jumping on a roller coaster at the beginning of it. You jumping on it after it's already experienced some ups and downs, right? So it's not at its lowest point, but it's expected to go higher. But what that means is that there is risk involved. So what I would say to anyone is like, hey, as it relates to Bitcoin, you got to decide whether this is a short-term, mid, or long-term investment for you. For most people, most seasoned investors, Bitcoin is a long-term investment, which kind of means like this. Yes, should you have been buying it for $30,000 back in January or February? Yeah. Should you have been buying it for $60,000, $50,000, back in, August and September? Yeah. Should you be buying it now? It really comes down to where it goes from here in your time horizon. So for me, for Ron Johnson, what up, fam? We want J&J Soul back. Hilarious. Much love. And appreciate that. That is just funny to see. So look, what we should be thinking about is cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. If it's a long-term investment for you, that means that, let's say if you think that Bitcoin is going to $200,000 between now and 2027, well, that means it might be a good time for you to buy. But if you are thinking that you're going to put $100 in Bitcoin today and that tomorrow you're going to be rich, it's not going to happen. See, the problem with that is even if Bitcoin went to $200,000, you would only get an extra $100, right? So what that means is it's really important to educate yourself on the broader crypto market and what's called altcoins, and think about the risk reward associated to those. What I tell people is educate beforehand. Either educate or take the approach of you should always only invest money that you can afford to lose. But if you want to learn while you invest, then hey, take $10 if that's nothing to you, $50 if it's nothing to you, maybe $100 is nothing to you, and it's worth investing, but then educate and learn, because I'm gonna tell you what'll happen if you don't know what you're doing. You might invest and turn $1,000 into $50,000. But if you don't know when to take profit, you will watch that go to zero. So anyway, let's take a quick look. I do want to look at the chart real quick on Bitcoin. I know we don't do this a lot look, it's a faith and business show. This is business and finances. So I want to just take a quick look at the chart, man, and let's see what the chart is saying to us. And also because, man, I get so many questions about crypto that it's like, I really would rather talk through some of these things this way. Let's see. That's a good question, Ron. I'm going to give you a little bit of my thoughts on that. So as we see here, Bitcoin is 97,880 right now. It changes by the minute. So as you see, by the second. All right. So as we look at the chart, right? I mean, look at the last 7 days is up 7%. That's a big move from, really 89, 90 up to where we are now. Then again, look at the last month, man. A month ago, you could have got this thing for 67,000, 68,000. A lot of people were making those purchases back then. If you were talking to anybody who is a seasoned investor, they would have been telling you that, yeah, you should have definitely been making those purchases. But if you go like a year, that's where it gets really crazy. Like, again, this time a year ago, it was 37,000 back in, around Thanksgiving last year, $37,000 Bitcoin. And the goal you should have had potentially is to dynamic cost, dollar cost average, DCA. And you just buy over time. And then over time, it grows. But you gotta be willing to buy during this time. Look, from March all the way down here, it just really was in the same range. And that's really boring. And that's why people don't invest. So I'm not here to judge you if you didn't invest. But what we want to think about is, we want to use this as an opportunity to just educate a little bit about investing and some of the importance of investing. And like I said, I have other podcasts about cryptocurrency in particular and about investing that you can go and check out. Either on YouTube or Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts and Spotify is where we got hundreds of shows in the archives there, right? You'll probably find most of those shows there. All right, so the question now is what's going to happen next? If you look, the market cap of Bitcoin is $1.94 trillion. And the market cap, let's go back to kind of total crypto, is only 3.35. So Bitcoin represents 58% of the total cryptocurrency market, right? So that means, you got thousands, literally thousands of other cryptos, and all of them, don't even equal, Bitcoin is still representative of half of all the investments at, what is it? $1.9 trillion. So this is what kind of happens. If you go down, this is coinmarketcap.com, and you start looking down, let's look at something different. Let's go to Solana, which is an altcoin. This made a crazy move. I was here to see this all happen, which is kind of crazy for me. The last 4 years, I've been really focused on this stuff. Solana, you see the move Bitcoin made in the last month. Solana made 45% increase. Then over the last year, 349%. And that's not even nothing, because about 2 years or a year and a half ago, this thing was $8. Look at this. I was investing in 2020, and I remember thinking I'm about to be this is investing for you, from 233 all the way down to, it was $8 at some point. I can't find a moment. It somewhere in here, $8, $9.75. Okay, it was $8 at some point. But my point is, this is how investing works. You really wanted to get in down here. This is when you want to be investing, when everybody's ignoring it, when nobody cares. My point here is only to say, the further that you go down, these are ranked by market cap, right? So Bitcoin is 1.9 trillion. If you go further and further down, you'll start seeing Solana's 121 billion, 94 billion, right? So you'll see, you'll kind of go further and further and see. This is where it gets risky the further down you go. But I'm going to just give you, let's see, if I just gave you one coin not to invest in, this is purely for educational purposes and kind of looking at how investing goes. Do not take nothing I'm saying as me telling you to go and take your money to invest, okay? I want to look at SWI. So it's interesting when you follow these markets change a lot. So number 18, SWI, it's only worth $9.8 billion, right? But I want you to see the moves that these make. So in the last month, almost 80%. So you see how Solana in a month had grown 45%. This in a month grows 80%. In the last year, this is 488. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is, the further you go down here, the point of this show is to say, go to coinmarketcap.com and educate yourself on crypto. And I've done this before. I've done a whole video just about this. But on that coin we were just on, SWI, on CoinMarketCap, you can go down here and look, you can see you got their website, you got their Twitter, their Discord. You could go further down here and say, hey, about Sui. What is it? It's a groundbreaking layer one blockchain platform designed to support the needs of global adoption. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about Sui real quick. Remember when Facebook was going to create their own cryptocurrency? Facebook at one point was going to create a cryptocurrency, and that thing got nixed, and it was due to, I believe, like some governmental shutdowns of like, yo, we can't allow Facebook to have a currency, right? Because that would have just created a crazy situation because of the reach that they have. It would have, I don't know if Monopoly was kind of what stopped it, but something in that range of like too much power, too much something, right? So they had to stop that. And when they stopped that, like Meta had to, the parent company of Facebook had to get rid of that division. They had to say like, nope, we got to shut this down. Well, when they shut that down, those people from Facebook went in and they went off into two different companies and started their own blockchain organizations. One was Sui, the number 18 cryptocurrency. And then another was Aptos, the number 23 cryptocurrency. So these two projects, this just as an example, are really made up of former Facebook group, the Facebook group that was building Meta's blockchain company or blockchain features, went and started their own because they got shut down, right? So those are interesting, more risky than a Bitcoin and even a Solana. But these are some of the investments when you start thinking about, well, what do I want to learn about to see if I want to invest to potentially maximize my opportunity for, growing my investment. But the most important thing, I want to point this out, is you have to know when to get out, because these things, you see this in 2023 is down here at 40 cents. It goes up to $1.70. Oh, you probably thinking I'm gonna be rich forever. $2, and then you see how it drops. It dropped all the way back down to 50 cents, right? And that was this year. Just a couple months ago, this thing was 50 cents back in August. And so now you see it's 350. So that is how, you think about just how investing works and how fast it can move and how crazy it can go. You have to really be, I consider investing a sport. It's a sport, and I'm not interested in hockey, for instance. So hockey could be a major sport. People make money. Some people got podcasts and TV shows about hockey, and the athletes got commercials. It's not something I'm willing to invest time in, so I'm not going to look to make money off hockey. I look at investing as a sport. You have to actually be interested in a sport, and really all things financial. The people that, and this is my own personal observation, the people who really make a lot of money, and I'm not talking about, you just have a job that pay a lot, or you're a celebrity or an athlete and you make millions of dollars. That's totally different. That's a very small percentage of the world. But what I like about investing is anyone can do it. Anyone can learn about it. But if you're not going to be serious about learning about it, you probably going to lose all your money. And that's really my big advice, is like, so when people want, a lot of people want you to just tell them what to do. Like, hey, tell me to do this or that. And it's like, yeah, the thing is, I understand my risk tolerance, and I understand that nothing is guaranteed. And so I have, I manage that risk the best way for me and my lifestyle. You have to know what that is for you. And when it comes to money, you got to be careful what you're telling people to do with their money. So my point is, when you look at people and they say, oh, I made $100,000 on this cryptocurrency or something like that, like, yeah, cool. But they probably lost 50,000 last year. And they probably thought they probably had some rough days and rough nights. And that's what investing is. But at the end of the day, if you continue to educate yourself, you become a better investor, just like anything else in the world. So that's my thoughts there. What y'all say? All right, Ron, do you think the market will skyrocket around inauguration? Like, I don't know. I'm uncertain about a lot of that. What I will say is, my perspective has been this. I started investing in cryptocurrency in 2017, went away, came back in 2020 and realized all my money that I lost was back. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. It wasn't a lot of money. And I made up in my mind, after going through that experience, I started back in 2020, and I was like, I'm going to learn. So I spent the past 4 years just learning. I say that to say, I don't know if inauguration is the day that's going to trigger or not. Just like I thought the election could trigger positive or negative depending on who won. The point is, it doesn't matter to me what the trigger is that makes it go up or down. It's the fact that I have a strong belief on where it's eventually going, and I'm in early enough, and I'm managing my risk properly. And that would be my advice to anyone is like, try not to be super reactive. You do have to be, it's better to be proactive as an investor, at least in my opinion. If you're reacting to everything, something can happen tonight. And that's the crazy thing about investing. It makes you understand what's happening in the world better because you see how these things impact, the financial markets. Good question though. What else? What are future picks for new startups for those of us who are looking to get in? All right. So, all right, let me think. Let me go back. Let me go back and share. That's a good question, Ron. Let me share mine again. Okay. So if I'm here looking and I'm like, what are some future picks? When you say startup, look, here's the thing, right? I mean, you could go categories. I'll tell you one that's interesting to me, and let's go to categories. I'll give you a segment, real world assets. This is an interesting segment to me to study. Real world assets is pretty much how the real world will be tokenized. So think about if you have, and this is just hypothetical here, I don't know that anyone's doing this. Think about how you have your physical driver's license, or let's not use driver's license. Let's use something that is like a documentation. Let's just take your social security card. Now let's not take that. That's too personal. Let's take your house deed. So you have a home deed, this proof that you own this home, whatever it is. They're going to be real world asset projects are projects that kind of take these things that exist in the real world and they're going to bring them to the blockchain, right? So you think about something as simple to me is like having Apple Pay on your phone. Think about that expanding to other aspects of life and other things, right? So what I would say is real world assets to me is really interesting because it just has a lot of, if you're in the space, you know that this is something that's being talked about and there's a lot of positive sentiment. And you can see like these are the top real world asset projects or projects that have an aspect of real world assets. So I would say this is a good starting point. And then look at the ranking, like this Mantra ranked number 41 overall, right? Ondo is an interesting one because they have a lot of corporate backing, a lot of like traditional finance backing. I believe this is the one BlackRock is into. So I would just say, hey, start looking in categories and then look at the rankings. And if you want to go with things that are already like maybe more proven in this category, but may not go up as much, you go here. If you want to get risky, you go down. But you have to understand, especially not me. I'm a regular dude. Like nobody really knows where this stuff is going. And that's what I've learned in my years of investing is like most experts are just educated. They're making educated guess. Nobody actually knows what's happening. And if you throw enough information out there on the internet, whatever happens, good or bad, you can say you were right. Let's see. Katrina say XRP is going to blow up. I can't say if it is or isn't. Obviously, XRP is one of those very interesting projects that have gone through a lot of legal issues with the SEC over the past few years. But Gary Gensler, the chair of the SEC, just announced his resignation this week. And so you got to think like someone new is going to be appointed when Trump comes in. And those things all impact all of this because the reason people think crypto is a scam is what's happened in America is that the SEC has not put out clear guidelines for these companies and how they should operate as cryptocurrency companies. And what that has done is, if you have imagine you're driving on a road and it's not clear what the speed limit is. And you're like, I don't really know what the speed limit is. So you start doing 70. And then the police pull you over and give you a ticket and say the speed limit is 65. But they never actually told you it was 65. That's what's happened in crypto companies. And so that's what makes people think it's a scam because people will hear like, hey, this crypto company got sued or this crypto billionaire, this guy went to jail. a lot of, I'm not saying all of it, because like some of it is people scamming, like Sam Bankman-Fried, that FTX, that whole thing, that was some scam stuff. But a lot of times, some of these, I ain't gonna say a lot, some of these situations are the fact that the US, the SEC has not put out clear guidelines. So people like, bro, like we don't know how to operate. So you'll see a lot of crypto companies are in like Singapore and Dubai and all these other companies. And what is potentially gonna happen, Trump is very pro Bitcoin. So it is, you know, at least expected that there are going to be more clear guidelines and regulations that's going to allow the bigger players, the bigger traditional finance companies to want to start investing in this asset. Because once there's clarity, then now the big boys could come in and they can, you know, start investing. And this thing could, you know, it's really projected that, you know, Bitcoin is going to $1 million in the next 10 years. I'm not saying that I believe that or not, or I'm not confirming or denying it. I'm just saying that is the projection when you're in the space. So Bitcoin, should you buy it now? I'll tell you this, the next 3 to 6 months are going to be interesting. I don't know if you should buy it now or not, but I definitely believe you should educate yourself now. And you could determine, do you want to, are you comfortable? Do your values align with investing in this digital asset class, right? This technology, like some people it may not, but for me, education is always the key. I like to learn about things, and then that gives me at least enough of a comfortability to know whether I want to do something or not. So that is crypto. What are we going to talk about next? Oh, we want to talk about, do I want to go to politics? No, I'm going to go to social media. This story came up while I think that was this week. LeBron James announces that he's taking a social media break. So let's see what this is all about. And look, I'm a LeBron guy. I should say that. I am a LeBron, you know, he's the best to me. LeBron is the greatest. Not really. I don't know. I'm a LeBron fan, though. That's my point. So let's see. This is from NBA.com. LeBron James announces social media hiatus amid media negativity. Now, I'm not going to read all of this, but I do want to just point out the source and give a little bit of background on the story. Kevin Durant's long-term manager, I think his name is Rich Klein, we'll see in a second. He made a post on, I believe, X, and LeBron kind of added some commentary to his post. So let's see. Yep. He posted on X, the platform formerly called Twitter, and he posted on Instagram as well. He has 159 million followers on Instagram and 52 million on X. That's crazy. It's a lot of followers, a lot of opinions, a lot of thoughts. Rich Kleiman, that's his name. So this is what he said, and this is quoted. "We can all acknowledge that sports is the last part of society that universally brings people together. So why can't the coverage do the same?" Kleiman wrote that day. "It's only clickbait when you say it. When the platform is so big, you can make the change and allow us all an escape from real life negativity. I, for one, find it a waste of all a waste of breath." And so essentially, LeBron James, it's a shame what it's come to. And then he said, and with that said, I'll holler at y'all getting off social media for the time being. Y'all take care. And I guess he has some other posts, and this is all about him saying that it's a little too negative. All right, so let's talk through this. You know, I got a couple thoughts about this. First and foremost, again, I'm a LeBron fan. As far as basketball, my favorite, you know what I'm saying, hooper. So that don't mean he's always right. And so on this, I got a couple problems with this, y'all. First and foremost, Rich Kleiman's whole Twitter post when he said, "We can all agree." Let me go back to it, because this is actually crazy what he said to me. See, I don't know. I be looking at stuff like, bro, this actually wild. He actually said, "We can all acknowledge that sports is the last part of society that universally brings people together." All right, so let me say this. Like this, see, the kind of person I am, I don't like stuff like this. I don't like when celebrities talk to me Like they gotta think I'm stupid. Or in his case, I mean, he's like somewhat, he's a celebrity's business partner, so he's an elite, wealthy person. I don't like it. First of all, you lying, bro. You lying. Sports is the last part of society that universally brings people together. Have you ever seen a Eagles fan and a Cowboys fan in a game? Sports universally brings people together. No. At these games, people fight. Literally, fans fight in the parking lot at some of these games in some of these cities. Years ago, when LeBron James left Cleveland to go to Miami, they burned his jersey. Fans in the stand. I'm from Detroit. You ever seen the Malice at the Palace, bro? Sports universally brings people together. That is just a lie. Like, no, I get the sentiment of like overarching sports can be a positive to society, but it's the thing he said was that it's the last part of society that universally brings people together. When every week sports is territorial, you versus me, my team versus your team. I hate this team. You suck as a player. Like, yeah, sports is like the ultimate competition, right? So I don't think you could say that universally brings people together. That's the first problem I have. The second problem I have is that these athletes these days want to control the narrative around how they're covered in sports. And when you think about it, I think there's a lot of society that does that. The media, when you think about politics, and everybody takes their side, so everybody's lying, everybody's being biased. Nobody wants to be objective. Here's objectivity, LeBron. You make some shots, you miss some shots. You win some games, you lose some games. You have 150 million followers. Just the probability that 150 million people are going to observe one action that you make, one game, and leave universally with a positive opinion about that is ridiculous to expect. Now, this is what I don't understand about these type of people. You make all this money. Why? Because people come to the games. Because people love and hate you. Because guess what? When you go in an arena and it's filled with fans, half of them want you to win and the other half are there because they want you to lose. It is that combination of that tension and competition in sports, that actually creates the wealth. So like, if you want 150 million people paying attention to you, I think you've benefited from that. I think you've signed a lot of endorsement deals because people pay attention to you because you're talented. You've made a lot of money. You have production shows and you've been in movies and all these things to get more people to pay attention to you. Well, guess what? The more people in life that pay attention to you, the more people that will like you and the more people that will equally hate you. There is no way on earth that you could say, I want to be one of the most famous people in the world. I want all the benefits, all the money of that, but all of y'all have to be nice to me and like me. It's not realistic. No, is this thing on? Hey, buddy. It's not realistic. And it's actually just weird to expect. And the fact that LeBron is like 20 years in the league, like, that's just not how business works. Some people like vanilla ice cream and some people like chocolate. And then we throw Neapolitan in there to try to cater to everybody. And then people only eat the flavors in the Neapolitan that they like. That's how life works. We got to get off of this whole energy and this vibe of like, everybody got to like everything about me. And if you don't like everything about me, it's you. And like, I'm just a great person and no, like, bro, when you out here, like, listen, that's part of why I don't want to be famous. That's why I'm not trying to go viral. And like, I get it. I understand, LeBron, maybe from a mental health perspective, you like, I can't take this, all these opinions. That's fine. I'm not judging that. Some people, regular people like me go through that where it's like, I'm tired of social media and how crazy people are. So I'm not judging you for that, LeBron. But what I am saying is miss me with the entitlement. Miss me with the idea that if people don't universally agree with you and cover sports in a nice way, it's not gonna work, because you need the boos as much as you need the cheers. But part of what happens for these athletes that have been LeBron, who's been famous since he was 15 and 16 years old, is he's not living life like regular human beings. Here's what I mean by that. A regular human being, you don't walk in the mall, you don't go to a store and people are like, hey, let me get a picture. Hey, you're so great. I love you. What this does for some of these athletes is it creates such a unrealistic perspective of life where everywhere they go, they're getting special treatment. In school, you hooped, you didn't have to get good grades because you were the star player. So you've always been used to this special treatment. And then you get so high on the totem pole that you're polarizing now. Well, now the same amount of people that love you hate you. That's what that creates. You don't get to dictate that. You don't get to determine and control that. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. If you need a social media break, take a social media break. I mean, who cares? Nobody cares. Just take a break, bro. But like this idea that it's our fault that you need a break, I'm not feeling it. You know, I'm just not feeling it. It's people, we all got problems out here. I'm not saying LeBron don't got problems. Listen, bro, if you need a break, take the break. But it ain't my fault that you need a break. Just like you not giving me credit for you being rich because I paid money for tickets to come see you play. No, you're going to take the credit. You're going to say your hard work got you there. But really, it's the fans and the ticket sales and the TV shows and the opinions and all those things come together to make you famous. That's how it works. So these NBA players that want to control the narrative about their fame, they just been living as athletes so long and they haven't had to be a regular person where people get to have positive and negative and objective feelings and you don't get to go everywhere and get special treatment. I get it. You earned that. I'm not mad at that. But I just think it's kind of weird to blame people, you know, for you needing a social media break. And the last thing I got to say is I think it's weird when people announce social media breaks. I'm going to be honest and just say it. I know I ain't the first person to ever say this, but I find it completely hilarious when people come to social media to announce that they need or want a break from social media. You could have been on a break right now if you didn't make this post, buddy. I take breaks from social media all the time, and I know y'all don't care, so I don't say nothing. Sometimes y'all start getting on my nerves, or it's like, for me, it's like the weird way people communicate on social media drives me away. Like, oh, y'all don't really communicate like humans. People are on social media communicating as robots. And I know this because some of the people, I know them in real life. And when I see them in real life, they don't talk to me or communicate with me the same way they communicate with me under a post. Like, and that's weird to me. And so sometimes I go away from social media. All right, cool. So last topic of the day, and maybe the most divisive, the divided state of politics. So while I was away, we got a new president. There's a lot of things going on in the news, a lot of opinions, a lot of arguments. I've never actually seen this many people after the election losing their minds. I know people were losing their minds leading up to it. I think if you go to episode 1 of this podcast, I actually literally think it's called The Lazy Superhero, but I think one of the segments in our very first episode, if you go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can find that. It's not on YouTube. But if you go to our first episode, we talked about disagreement and the ability to disagree with people. Disagreement, I'm starting to believe it's a skill set now because everyone just does not have the ability to disagree with you without losing their mind. Listen, y'all, it's okay to coexist in a world where everybody doesn't agree with you. Guess what? Because you don't know everything, neither do I know everything. And so the idea that people have to agree with you is ridiculous to me. Now, can you make a legitimate argument to convince somebody, influence or sway or persuade them to agree with you? 100%. I'm here for the dialogue. If you disagree with something that I say or that I think or believe, I am all for you making your point and us having a reasonable, respectful discussion about it. But what I don't like that's happening these days is people are literally just saying, you should agree with me because I said so. Or you should agree with me because I'm elite or I'm rich or I'm this celebrity. So whatever I say is right. Or, ooh, this is the most explosive one. You should vote for my best interests. It's your responsibility. And if you don't, I don't like you. I hate you. Well, let me just tell y'all this before I get into this topic for real. That's illogical. That is actually ridiculously unintelligent. I'm not sure if that's a word, but it's illogical at best, because the idea that everybody in the world has to agree with you based on your best interests is so self-righteously selfish that it's just illogical. Because what happens when your best interest conflicts with my best interest? Hey, that's a stinger. Listen, you can't expect everyone in the world just because you said it to agree with you. And I'm going to say this. If you can't handle that reality, then you really need to take a step back and ask yourself, when did I lose it? When did I lose the sense of reality? Like, what caused me to lose it? And I think some of it is because people walk around in echo chambers and they live in bubbles where everyone agrees with them and they think that's reflective of reality. I heard a gentleman say last week that if someone is from a different political party, he would not even have dinner with them. Like if they were his friend, he was saying he was like just openly saying, I would not even have dinner with someone who voted differently than me. Regardless of who you voted for, I can have dinner with you. And I'm sure let's just take it like in a professional setting. I go to cocktail parties and dinners all the time. Who's walking in a cocktail party with 500 people and saying, hey, Democrats on the left, Republicans on the right. I don't want to be in a networking situation with an opposite political interest, okay? It's just a ridiculous way to live. But to drive this point home, I thought Stephen A. Smith said it best. So we're going to actually watch a couple minutes of this video from Stephen A. Smith, then I'll jump in with my commentary. And I find it really interesting because, let me just say this, and I think he says it in the clip there. It's like a 15-minute video. We're going to watch about 4 or 5 minutes of it. And I'll stop and kind of give my thoughts. But I thought this was important because Stephen A. Smith is a, overt Democrat. He openly said he voted for Kamala Harris, right? And he made this video about why did the Democrats lose. And I think, let me just say this, the reason that I'm even sharing it from this perspective is because I grew up around like in a democratic society, right? So for me, the people around me, the community that I grew up in, family, friends, like, I'm not saying everybody is a Democrat today, but what I'm saying is that is historically throughout my life how it's been. It's been people who have been Democrats, whether they agree or disagree, that's just kind of the position that sometimes we take. And what happens and what's happening in the world today is people, as you become more educated, you start having your own opinions. And that's okay to be Democrat or Republican and have your own reasons for that. And anybody that's telling you that you have to agree with them on either side just because they agree, not making points, not trying to convince you respectfully, but like forcefully, you should just agree with me. To me, it's ridiculous. I don't subscribe to any of it. You can get away from me with that. Or just live with the fact that I disagree with you. Let's see what Stephen A. Smith said. I can't talk, people. All right. Yeah, I thought this was really, really dope. Let me see how I am. No, I don't want to be like that. I want to be like this. All right. Let's see what Stephen A. is talking about, people. And we're going to play it, from right here, 8:30.
All these celebrities, Taylor Swift, Michelle Obama, Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, Oprah. The list went on and on and on. Let me tell you what the problem with all of that was. Let's not forget LeBron James.
We just talked about him.
Even though he just put out a tweet.
Let me just say, we just talked about LeBron. Let me say, I don't know. He might cuss in here 1 or 2 times, some light cuss words. I just want to throw that out there because this a family show. So I don't remember. I tried to go to a spot where he wasn't cussing, but I just want to give that warning. If you got kids or something around you for the next 3 minutes, just hold off on the kids on this part. I don't know why the kids would care about this anyway. So, but I wanted to throw that out there.
Let me tell you what the problem with that was. Michelle Obama giving a speech in Kalamazoo where she skillfully and brilliantly detailed reproductive rights. Wasn't talking about abortion. She was talking about reproductive rights for women. Fair enough.
He's a Democrat. You know what I'm
But
saying?
then she added a line by saying a vote for him was a vote against us.
Yeah.
Don't believe what I'm saying? Take a listen.
We are the ones with the knowledge and experience to know what we need. So please do not hand our fates over to the likes of Trump, who knows nothing about us, who has shown deep contempt for us.
Okay. She talking to you.
Because of
So my wife got me this weird new kitchen knife as a Christmas gift. God, I love her.
Let's
vote
get
for
that.
him is a vote against us, against our health,
Okay.
against our worth.
Vote for him. Is a
You
vote
see what
against them.
Michelle Obama said right there?
See what Steve say.
I'm here to tell you that I believe if Michelle Obama was running, she would have won this election by a landslide.
See,
She's that popular. She's that skilled.
He's
She's
for
a
her.
brilliant orator. She's a wonderful woman, the greatest first lady I think this country has ever seen.
He loves her. That's why this is
But
cool.
when she added that line,
Talk to us.
how you think American citizens felt?
I don't know.
So in other words, if we don't agree with you,
Okay.
we're against you.
That's what she said.
It didn't affect me because I'd already voted for Kamala Harris.
See, he telling you.
Might not have affected most women, maybe
Okay.
some.
Okay.
How'd you think the men felt about that?
Tell him. Tell him.
So we have to do what you tell us to do,
That's what she said.
otherwise we're anti-you.
That is what she said.
Thought that worked?
That-
Do y'all know anything about most men?
I don't think they do.
Think that's gonna work?
I don't think they do.
How about this one from Oprah? Take a listen.
Talk to
If
us.
we
Oprah.
don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
Ever?
And let me be very clear.
Oh my goodness.
If you do not make sure that the people in your life can get to the polls,
Okay.
that is a mistake.
But what if
Deciding
they don't
not
vote
to
what
decide,
if they don't vote
that is
how I
most
vote?
definitely a vote to let other people control your future.
Civil Rights Act of
Interesting.
1964, Voting Rights Act of 1965, been in place since 1965. That's spanning more than nearly 60 years.
Okay.
Okay?
What else?
And you're gonna look an audience in the face and you're going to tell them
She did.
that if you vote for Donald Trump, you may not ever be able to cast a vote again.
She did say that.
Who believed that?
I don't know. Somebody believed it though.
Who believed that coming from Oprah?
I talked to some people that believe it, Steve.
Truly, who believed that?
I'm not gonna name them, but I can tell you they did. Hold on. See, and this is the reason you got to understand why I'm sharing this specific clip, because I think it's really hard for people to hear from people who disagree with them. And I think we live in this divided, bashing, disrespectful state, right? Notice, like, I'm sharing a clip. This ain't disrespecting nobody. This is actually showing love to the people who lost. But maybe he, as someone who he voted for Kamala, he's trying to give some insight into why they lost. His video is literally called Why the Democrats or Why Kamala. I think it's Why the Democrats Lost. And here's the thing. My whole thing is, it's almost like people are delusional because they live in bubbles and they want to believe that their bubble is reflective of reality. Here's reality, y'all. This for everybody, Democrats and Republicans. All of these elections mostly come down to like 49%, 51%. So let's call it 50-50. It's a toss-up every time, most of the time. Generally speaking, it's 50-50. Half of America is Democrat, half of America is Republican. That means that reality is diverse. The reality is when you go to a grocery store, when you go to a restaurant, or you hop in an Uber, or you go to work, that 1 out of 2, every other person is a Democrat or Republican on average. The idea that you could start building a worldview that you think you can start isolating people, judging them based simply on their political party in America is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. So, what happens when you go to a restaurant and you get bad service? Do you first ask, hey, are you pro this or anti that? Are you a Democrat or a Republican? Because if you're a Democrat, that was amazing steak. And if you're a Republican, I hate it. Now, when you go to a restaurant and you pay $60 for a steak, you want the chef to make the steak the way you want it. And if it's good, you send your compliments to the chef. If it's good, you tip the waiter or the waitress. You never even ask, did you vote how I want you to vote? It's not a realistic way to live in the world. It's actually self-righteous on either way to walk around assuming that everyone has to believe what you believe, and even worse, that they should. And I actually think that's the lie that's been told to so many people, is that people should just blindly vote or want your best interest. So your best interest supersedes my best interest. Here's what I mean by that. All of these elections are typically led with the particular topic, right? And it makes people feel like this election was two of the main topics, really, if you say three: economy, you go border safety, and abortion rights really led, and reproductive rights, whatever you want to call how it's been branded, that really led the way. But with that, the reality of it is, when you dig, anybody who's in the political world and you even dig into the policies, there's like, let's just say if there was 20 different things that mattered, that really mattered, right? That 20 different policies that could be coming in place to affect people differently. So if you're a person and you're like, I'm a woman and everybody has to vote for my reproductive rights, cool, I got you. But what if the other person over here had a personal situation where somebody in their family was attacked by, someone who was illegally in a country? Would you tell them now that your interest is more important than the thing that matters to them, that's very serious to them? Or what if somebody lost their business due to an economic policy, or lost some type of financial loss due to the economy or something like that? Who are you to go to them and say, hey, I know your personal situation looks like this, but this is what matters to me? No, on both sides, you have the right to vote for the thing that matters to you. You have the right to vote for your best interest. You also have the right to go out and campaign and convince and persuade other people to agree with you. You do not have the right to tell them how to think. And Black people in particular, that's slavery, y'all. Y'all do realize, like in slavery, we're grouped together. We're not allowed to think alike. We're not allowed to go get married. We're not allowed to go nowhere and do nothing we want to do. Y'all stay over here. Y'all in this group, you have no rights. You don't count as a person. To give freedom means I'm free. I'm free. Why do we want to keep each other enslaved now mentally? No. You want to convince somebody or something? Convince me. I'm an intelligent person. Talk to me. Let's talk about it. All right, let's go back to what Steve was saying.
This is the kind of stuff that alienates an electorate, that alienates a vote or a voter. Because the freedom that you tell them they have, you try to confiscate morally by letting them know you ain't worth a damn unless you vote the way we say you should vote. Who's going to go for that in a general election?
I don't know, Steve.
With an economy rife with inflation.
I think they...
With over 12 million people coming crossing the borders.
I don't know, Steve.
With people wondering about their dollars. The dollars that they earn, the dollars that they have in their pocket, the value of that dollar dissipating before our very eyes. But in the same breath, you're telling them that you got to take even more money out of their pocket to finance immigrants that come all across the border illegally at the behest of the Democratic Party, looking to secure a voting bloc.
Oh, man.
Did you think that would work?
I think, Steve, I don't know.
Did you think that would work?
I really don't know. But let me, hold on, Steve. He said something really important there. He said that they attempted to morally confiscate your vote. Woo! See, that's deep to me. That's deep to me because morals. When somebody goes after your emotion and like try to make things moral, it could be real manipulative, right? So it's kind of like I would equate it to like how people have a problem with some churches who collect money and do it in a manipulative way because they tie it to your relationship with God. And what ends up, and this isn't to say you shouldn't give to church. That's not what I'm trying to do. But that's a very gray area in a way. There's a proper way to do that and proper way to teach that. But that can be manipulated because then you can start manipulating people emotionally where they don't even want to give, but they feel obligated to do something. They don't even know why they're giving, but they feel like morally like, okay, you have confiscated my right. That's the thing that I'm really discussing. It's not how you vote and who you vote for. I think you should have a right to vote for either. It's the fact that I believe you're an intelligent being. I believe that you are educated and you are able to make your own decision, and that I don't have the right to tell you how to vote based on how I feel. Like, and I think in return, it's like, let's give each other that respect, and let's not all limit each other to our political affiliations anyway, because let's be real, it's the only time people even really trip about it is election year. The other 3 years, people are going around living life normal and okay and coexisting with people on every side of the fence. But for some reason, when it comes to election season, we all lose it. Everybody gets emotionally charged up. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if a lot of people are even as educated about how this stuff really works behind the scenes, where the money goes, the budgets, there are sometimes I think your vote and your right has been morally confiscated. People have convinced you based on their values or their agenda or the things they want to do that, hey, you have to morally align with me. That's manipulative. You know why? I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God and the Savior of my soul, and that he came here to save yours as well. But it is not right for me to tell you that because I believe that, you have to believe it. Now, I could make an argument, I could make a presentation, I could even do debates, and I can make these claims and position my argument to say, hey, here's why I believe Jesus is the Son of God and why you should accept him in your life. Here's why I believe you should repent of sins, but I can't make that decision for you. Neither do I have the right to judge you if you decide not to. Now imagine that. Imagine the fact that you can have a Christian over here and a Buddhist here and a Muslim here, and maybe we work together. And maybe we are building a bridge together. We're construction workers. The objective at work is the bridge. I don't own you. You are free. If I get to tell you, you have to be a Christian because I am, that's slavery. That's manipulation. That's an abuse of power. And what I'm trying to say is that we all have the free right to vote, to believe what we want to believe. And when you take that away, if you take that away, this is no longer America. If you start taking away people's rights like that and people's ability to make educated decisions, because what if, I'll give you an example. You got like the real estate market. Some people buy when some people sell. Some people sell when some people buy. You always need a buyer and a seller, or you can't have a transaction. You can't tell me just because it's the right time for you to sell, you can't make me sell my house. No, I can educate myself on the market and I can make the decision that's best for me. And if it's the wrong decision, I have to live with it. Let's listen to the rest of what Steve has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kamala Harris wasn't perfect.
Okay.
But she worked her you-know-what off.
Oh, now you ain't gonna
to try to make this happen.
Okay.
And to be quite honest with you, she didn't do too much that was wrong.
See, he loves Kamala.
I actually feel sorry for her because she busted her tail and did all that she could in those 110 days that she had available to her. She might could have done some things differently, fine.
Okay.
But she put in that work.
All right.
But what we learned last night is that she never had a chance.
Oh my goodness, why not?
Because too many American citizens are too disgusted with what they see
Come on, man. What?
from the extreme left, who are the progressives, who apparently hijacked the Democratic Party and leaned them and pulled them so far to the left that they felt, hell, even if it is Donald Trump, at least that would be closer to us recognizing the country that we live in as opposed to what we've been subjected to.
Wow.
And in the end, celebrities who are worth hundreds of millions, if not billions,
A lot of money. They're worth a lot of money.
who most American citizens feel are incredibly detached
They're
from
not
their
human.
way of life and their quality of life.
Yeah.
We're not going to get away in guilting them into doing something different than what their experience says is going on and what they should do about it.
All right. That was Stephen A. Smith, a Democratic voice telling us why he believed the Democrats lost the election. So I think it's worth listening to just based on his love for the party. He's an outspoken Democrat. So I think that, look, it's okay to be real about why something happened. The last thing he said was really important to me, though. He said, like, basically the progressives on the left kind of, in his words, hijacked the party and the agenda, and most Americans don't resonate with that. And I think you have to be, I think what happens is that some people, if that's your position, you are a far left progressive and you live in that echo chamber, then you think that's reality. And I think that's why it's hard for people to see why the Democrats lost and what actually needs to change. But nonetheless, I'm hoping and praying that everybody, regardless of who you voted for, that you, hey, live with the fact that you are in control of your life. The decisions you make are what's going to ultimately, determine the outcome of your situation. At the end of the day, putting all this faith in politicians on either side is just, it's not realistic to me. Depending on what your life is, what your goals are, like, I don't know. It's all kind of different laws in all these states and all these places. The gun laws ain't the same. The speed limit ain't the same. It is a variety of melting pot everywhere. Ultimately, though, we have to live in a reality where we understand that there are going to be people that disagree with us. There may be things I want to happen in life that don't happen. Maybe laws or things I want to happen that don't happen. At the end of the day, listen, man, if you want to be a voice, Republican or Democrat, it's a lot of people out here who made their voices heard on podcasts for both parties. And you go out there and you talk and you build a following and you try to encourage and influence people. But the control and like manipulation, I'm not here for it. I'm not with it. Listen, hopefully you enjoyed this show as we went all around the world today, touching on various topics. And hey, it was good to be back for an episode. I know how it is. Like I've been away for a minute, you know what I'm saying? So who knows? The algorithm probably gonna be like, nobody gets to see this, buddy. But nonetheless, if you are a person that checks this out, please like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate you taking time to check out Inspire Guys People, and check us out on YouTube at Inspire Guys People. And hopefully going into 2025, I get a little more opportunity and time on my schedule to be more consistent with podcasts. But I love this show. I love being able to kick it and talk about stuff. So I'll continue to do it as I can, if I can, Lord's willing. And thank y'all. Y'all have an amazing